Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Small Cap Discoveries conference call. Today on our call, we have Doug Vickerson, the CEO of Renoworks. Renoworks trades on the TSX Venture under the symbol RW and in the US under ROWKF. The company is currently trading at 46 cents with roughly 37 million shares outstanding, or about $17 million market cap. I'd now like to hand it over to Paul Andriola.
Hey, thank you, Trevor. Yes, we have Doug Vickerson, no stranger to these interviews we're doing. I think you're holding the record now for most interviews as of today, Doug. So congratulations.
That's good.
We'll send you a trophy or a plaque or something.
Perfect.
For those that don't know, Doug runs Renoworks, a sort of a longtime favorite of ours, a company that we've been somewhat familiar with, myself personally, probably for 8 or 9 years at least now. It's been quite a while. But anyways, he's here to give us an update. Doug, we always like to have guys like you just sort of reintroduce briefly Renoworks to our audience, and then and we'll get into some questions right after that.
Okay, thanks, Paul and Trevor. It's good to be the record holder for Small Caps Discovery. So always happy to be here. Renoworks, always like giving an update. Now that we just released our 2020 financials, I think that it's a good time to give an update. 2020 was a good year for us. I'm not going to say that it was a spectacular year. It was definitely a good year where we grew. What we did in terms of what we did against 2019, obviously we were showing some growth. 2019 was a big investment year, and I'll kind of get it a little bit into what we're doing high level strategically, again, just to kind of introduce people to Renoworks who may not know our story. And the reason that I say 2020 was a good year, I think that we see a lot more opportunity this year and in future years to have much better years than 2020. I'm very, I'm happy for where we landed after 2020. Profitable, EBITDA positive. I think we showed great strides in what we're doing, and basically 2020 was a year where we continued to develop out our roadmap of creating a platform that we want to take out to the R&R market, which is the remodel and restoration market in the United States and in Canada, some other countries around the world, and basically create a marketplace. So where we have our solution on our different customer websites, or potentially if we're going to go direct to consumer, it's a place where homeowners can come and completely define their remodel project, design, measurement, all the materials that they need. They can get a high level quote of what they're looking for. So they come to our platform even before they go to a contractor and define their remodel project. So if we help a homeowner define that project when they eventually take it to a contractor or are starting to choose the manufactured product that they want, all the details are taken care of. So that's basically what we're doing. And I think, maybe a little bit of not a tweak in strategy, maybe a different way to tell this story a little bit, is this marketplace concept. Last year, we had over 3.5 million homeowners that came to our platform through our various clients. And they're coming onto our platform to, like I said, define their project. And what we believe we're working towards, and we're making great strides toward this, is allowing that homeowner to not just visualize. That's kind of what Renoworks DNA is visualize, but a homeowner can come and basically create their entire project on our platform, so that when they eventually do get connected to a contractor, all the details are taken care of. So there's value for the homeowner, there's value for the contractor because they don't need to do as much. There's value for the manufacturer because they control more of the process and they get their product basically defined for the homeowner project. So I really like the kind of the concept of us building a marketplace, connecting homeowners with contractors.
Mm-hmm. You mentioned something. I remember when we first got to know each other and I got to know the company, it was really one or two different sort of verticals that you guys attack, but you have really grown into so much more. And the way I like to describe the company is more in like an actual example of what happens. I remember we had to get some outside siding and some windows done at my place, and traditionally what I always did was I'd find 3 contractors in the phone book and I'd have them all come over to my house and give me a quote, and they'd have to show me samples. They'd have to, we'd have to decide exactly what we wanted. But you guys, you sort of really sort of do away with all that, and all you have to do now is input your street address. Google Streets will capture a picture of the house, and then literally can be displayed almost every single product that all the manufacturers have access to. So I can decide even before I call a contractor what I want my house to look like, and in theory have somebody send me a whole bunch of quotes without ever stepping on site. Is that correct?
100%. That's
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, I mean, it's such a dramatic change in the way traditional restoring and renovation has been done. You guys are really almost a seismic shift in how that industry is dealing with the old way of doing business.
Well, and I do appreciate guys like you, Paul, and I see the names that are kind of chiming into this phone call, lots of familiar names. I think it's important also to note what we're trying to do hasn't been done. It's a very complex transaction where there's many moving pieces. It's not selling a car is way easier than what we're trying to do. So it's complex, and the different, kind of supply and the demand parts of that transaction, who has the power of that transaction, I think is something really important to kind of look at and see what we're trying to do. And we're getting a whole bunch closer to actually doing that. We haven't really mentioned this a lot because I think it's a very strategic part of what we're trying to do. It's a friendly audience here. Mm-hmm. So I can kind of talk about it a little bit more to kind of just bring a little bit more context to what Paul said. So what Paul said exactly, come to our platform and submit your address. From the address, we can basically do everything to define that project. A new thing that we're adding, and we've been working on for probably the last year, is a really big data science part of our platform. So let's say we have a current customer. There's one customer of ours that every month about 50,000 homeowners through that customer come to our platform. With the data science piece now, we're going to be we analyze what they're doing on the platform. With their address, we are able to tell how much their home is worth. Is there vinyl siding on the outside, or is it stucco? What's on the roof? What are the characteristics of the homeowner in that home? So all these different ancillary pieces of information on that property. And then we combine that with what the user is doing on our platform. So we'll be able to predict, and we're already doing this with lead scores, if Paul comes to our platform and his home is worth $1 million, I come to the platform, mine is worth 500,000. Both of those are potentially important clients that you don't want to, disregard. But maybe what Paul has done on the platform, he shared the project, he's designed it, he's asked for more information, he's coming from an area of town where it just had a hailstorm, as an example. So we start putting in weather. We will be able to tell our clients to focus on Paul. Paul is he has a greater propensity to buy a remodel project versus myself. My home is worth 500,000. I may not want to spend as much as Paul. I'm not part of a hail neighborhood, things like that. So the data science piece is really exciting. And we're working with probably 3 or 4 multi-billion-dollar manufacturers that we're running all their data through to try to understand who to focus on.
You know, that's interesting because I've always viewed you guys as having the potential to be the conduit between the manufacturer with all these various products, and then the consumer and contractor kind of sits almost in the middle. And having access to that data, you know, having a platform that brings you a whole bunch of different customers, and being the manufacturer that needs to get access to those customers, and influencing contractors. I mean, oh my goodness, the different monetization that you can have by controlling that platform. So I mean, there's so many different things, and partly because I come from the construction industry back in the day and know all the variables and all the craziness, and if you control this, you sort of control that. So I'm anxious to continue to watch how you guys develop, because I think you guys have tremendous opportunity to exploit that data.
Yeah, and I think you know, I get excited. You know, I've been at this for a long time, as most of you know. I get excited kind of every day on what we're doing on the platform. We basically want to own that homeowner experience, where a homeowner, if they're doing a remodel project, and for the most part, we are concentrating on exterior right now. With exterior, you can truly do that virtual. You don't need to visit the property. If you're doing more of kitchens and baths, and obviously you need to go into the home to do that. But if we own that exterior remodel space, and we own that customer experience where a customer can kind of do everything, and then we just connect them to the contractor or the manufacturer. Right now, a lot of our work is right with the manufacturer, but we could go direct to the consumer. And at every part along the way, there's ability for, as you said, Paul, for us to transact, get, you know, licensing revenue. You know, there's many different ways for us to monetize that.
So speaking of monetizing, let's talk about the year as far as numbers. A decent year. You grew by 20% overall in 2020. Obviously, for a lot of business, it was challenging, but you know, home renovations and construction had a banner year, certainly by the end of it. And it was a very strong Q4 over the same period last year. I got up 26%. What is driving your continued growth right now?
So I think it's a combination of a few things. So one, and I recently had a question from an investor who was looking at our financials and kind of seeing a rather static licensing revenue. And I don't know if you're going to get to that or not, Paul, but we haven't grown licensing revenue. I'll maybe dig into that a little bit as to why. But I'll answer your question. One of the main reasons that we are growing our revenue is that we're adding new customers onto our platform. So we see that as being very important. So when I say customers, I mainly mean right now manufacturers of building products. That is key. And I want to differentiate that as well against us adding contractor customers We're not really focused right now on adding contractor customers. That will come in the future, in our future roadmap of starting to add contractors more. But what is really key for us right now is to add manufacturing customers. Why that's important? We get their data. And by data, I mean we get their product information, and then we start getting homeowners that are coming to their website. We want to sign up every exterior building products manufacturer in the industry. And so will we sacrifice licensing revenue or the amount of licensing revenue that we're getting from those manufacturers? Absolutely. Because we believe that we can sacrifice some of that revenue now because we're going to be able to monetize it in the future. So let's get them on our platform. Let's get them loving what we do. Start introducing them to some of the data science pieces that we're doing. Starting to show them what certain things are doing on those platforms. And I'm not worried at all about the different opportunities we have to monetize that. So that's one of the reasons that I think we are growing. So just on the basis of adding new customers. The other big reason, which is kind of stares at you when you look at the financial statements, is the design services. So we have some major customers that they continue to invest more and more dollars in design services. So that, that's kind of mentioned in the financial statements. We have more customers that are implementing design services. And one of the keys to why we grow design services, obviously adding new clients, but there are some pretty progressive clients that are offering that design piece to the homeowners at no charge. And we charge anywhere from $25 to $75 for those projects. And I think more and more clients are seeing that if they bring in the homeowner, kind of like offering the carrot to say, we'll do free design, then that gets them into the manufacturer pipeline. And then they can kind of control the experience. So we just had they're an existing customer, they're a multi-billion-dollar brand, and I won't say who, but their brand used to be around durability, and they're rebranding their company to say, we want a brand based on design, using our product to design your home, which is obviously music to our ears. So I think I'll say three reasons why we're growing. So the one, we're adding new customers. Two, design services is obviously growing. The third one is we're adding, like I said, we're adding new things to the platform that we can monetize. And we recently added AI, so the automatic masking or preparation of someone's home. We added that to our platform. We added measurements, where we're now allowing users to buy measurements off of our platform, which is really interesting. And then even just the data science piece, we know that we'll be able to monetize the data science piece. So I think those three things are the major things that we're doing to increase our revenue.
So you said two things there that I want to bring up again. One is you talked about wanting to get more and more manufacturers brought on, even if it sort of is called cannibalizes your licensing revenue. I think one key thing for everybody to remember is that that becomes a real strong moat, a competitive moat, because as you build this massive library of products, manufacturers' products, it's very difficult to replicate. So a competitor would have to really go out and spend a lot of time and effort and money to replicate that library that you now have access to, that you can monetize. And the other piece to that partly is that your business is a bit of a land and expand opportunity, because once you have that key manufacturer and the relationship he has with a customer or contractor, you're right, you get to add all these other pieces to the puzzle that you monetize. And I've seen the evolution over the last couple of years of exactly that. So I agree. I mean, all those pieces come together, but I keep looking at you guys as being, it's more than just about your current revenue. The assets that you're building, I think, there's long-term implications here that are going to, see the monetization down the road. And these are just moats that you're constantly building here.
Let me add to that a little bit, and I'll quasi name drop. Add to that. I was talking, I get quite a few companies, private equity companies, M&A companies, contacting me from time to time. I always take those calls. There was one private equity company out of San Diego. They recently invested in a Calgary company 2 or 3 years ago that was just one of the recent unicorns out of Calgary. So I'll let you kind of do, who that is. But anyway, they're very their minimum investment is 25 million US. So above what we can do. I'll be talking to our, friends at Sophic about that. But one of the things that they said that they're seeing in the architectural engineering and construction technology space is around big data and the data science piece. So to your point, Paul, of us creating a moat around us and creating very high switching costs with our customers, is that as soon as we bring in this data science piece and we own the data, if a manufacturer leaves us, they lose all that data, they lose all that information on homeowners and their propensity to buy, and so we believe that that's yet another moat that we can kind of create. And it was very interesting hearing it from this private equity company, that companies that kind of create that need to own the data, it's really important.
No question. I think we're seeing that in so many different industries. The data drives so many monetization opportunities. Switching gears a little bit, obviously last year was very different than a lot of years. COVID, you guys, we touched on this last couple of times we've spoken, but are you any changes in the way you're operating right now due to COVID, now that we've had a year under our belt? And then I recognize this business, like a lot of others, has seen some trends sort of quicken within their industry because of COVID. Are you seeing the same things now?
Yeah, so as you've already noted, Paul, COVID has actually been beneficial for us because of what it's done to the housing industry. I think we're continuing to see some very good growth. We saw some good growth, ending last year. Q1 was no different, and the beginning of Q2 is no different. This might be a surprise to you, but one of the key changes that I'm seeing, that you're starting to see in the news as well, is the acquisition of talent, being able to build out a team of mainly developers, but a whole bunch of people to build out our team. We're hiring. We see a big opportunity. Getting qualified people sometimes is a challenge. Just a quick story. I lost a developer a few months ago, making 150-ish or so a year, so pretty well paid. Went to Facebook for 550,000 USD a year.
Wow.
And I kind of went, good on you. Most of the time I'm offended if anyone leaves me, there I kind of go, hey, will you be my friend still? It was so, obviously we do things at our company culturally to attract talent and be competitive, but the ability for people to work remotely will be a challenge for technology companies, both good and bad. We can hire remote, but so many people have that many more options now. And then just specific to our industry, and quite frankly, I think the jury is out a little bit as far as I see the industry. I think the work from home mentality is here to stay. If our company is a microcosm looking into that, I know to a person, everyone wants to work from home more forever, at least now. So I see people investing in their homes continuing. Maybe it's not going to be to the same extent that people are doing it now, but I see that trend continuing. And so I think that is really important. And I think that is positive for our industry then.
Mm-hmm. No, I completely agree. I think it's a paradigm shift in the way these sectors are working right now. Do you see, I mean, apart from the fact that just the housing and renovation industry has really gone crazy, but are you seeing some of the things that directly relate to you guys in terms of what you offer? Because I just keep thinking, the idea of not having to have a contractor or 3 contractors come and give me, get on site and give me quotes or review product samples, in person. I mean, these are little things that you would have thought a year ago, no big deal, but now we live in a different world. I mean, is that starting to drive any of the things that are happening? Or the flip side is, I also used to work in construction when things are so busy, they're not looking at new technologies because they got all the work they can handle. So, what drive down to exactly what you're seeing at a sort of ground level?
So, absolutely. I think that's part of the reason I just got off a call today with my operations team on how busy we are on bringing on new customers. We've got probably, I don't know how many, 30 new customers that have never worked with Renoworks. It's both, it's a good story, but it's also a bad story to be able to deliver that before, so that we're delivering it before the end of the year. That's why we're having to hire. So I think that is in response, Paul, to manufacturers realizing that they need to invest in the digital experience much more than they ever have. It's time to do that. I was also on a phone call a couple of weeks ago with a Window World. They're out of their US, are about $1 billion remodel contractor. And they say their leads right now for homes are at an all-time high. So in theory, they wouldn't need to invest in technology. But what they've said is this isn't going to last forever. So now is the time to invest in technology to make sure that the leads are coming in are the best leads that they can have. And that's kind of what we facilitate right now, is leads for manufacturers. There's another project that we're going into, which is interesting, which for the long, and I think you'll appreciate this, Paul, because I think, again, right at the beginning when you and I started talking, you kind of said, hey, are you going to go direct to consumer? Where we never have gone direct to consumer. It's always been through our partners. We're doing a project with a company out of Chicago who are bringing us homeowners. They're not affiliated to any manufacturer or anything like that. And we are going to try to convert them into projects directly with the homeowner and then connect them to the contractor, which is very interesting, because if we prove that model going direct to consumer, it opens up a whole bunch of other opportunities.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. So earlier you mentioned artificial intelligence. I think there's a couple of different angles here, but where are you at with that? The design services, that was a big piece. You guys are trying to sort of really speed up how efficient design services are. Where are we at with that?
So the AI, we continue to invest in the AI piece, and we've actually, that's one of the areas that our licensing is increasing. And so that's really important. And I think it's interesting where we're at. We're constantly improving the AI. And by improving the AI, what I mean is that we're comparing what a human can do to trace out all the different areas of the outside of a home versus what a machine can do in 30 seconds. So a human can do it in 30 minutes, a machine can do it in 30 seconds. And I think what we're trying to do is improve the quality. And some of the quality is making sure that you can differentiate between a roof and siding, windows and doors, the trim. So that's a part of the quality. How do you cover the areas accurately so you have straight lines, the perspective, all those different things that we're working on. Back to the data science piece, one of the things that we're seeing is that a homeowner that comes to our platform who can design within 30 seconds will potentially be more quick to clicking on the button to say, I want a quote. Mm-hmm. So that we're using AI to kind of feed this funnel as well, working with some really big companies to do that. And so again, I think, one of the things that we're always looking at is how do we base everything on data? Another colleague of yours and mine, Paul, and I know some investors here on the call. What's the ROI? What's the ROI of us doing a free design service for a manufacturer versus just allowing them to do it on their own? So a manufacturer, what's the ROI of them spending millions of dollars with us versus just, $20,000, $30,000? The data science is starting to prove that. And so the AI, I think, is going to be a very important tool for us to bring more people onto the platform quickly, get them to a design very quickly, and then take them down the funnel a little bit more of making them closer to becoming a customer.
You put out news today. You guys announced that you've hired investor relations, Sofa Capital, which is we're fans of. A number of companies from their stable have presented for us. So why IR and why now?
Well, probably better than most, Paul, that I kind of laugh at this. Our company has, and kind of kicking and screaming into doing anything around IR. We worked with a IR company, had a good experience when we first worked with an IR company, took a kind of a break, and we didn't want to bring in an IR company until the right timing. So I think the guys at Sofa Capital, Sean and team, knows that we've been talking for a long time around starting to work with Renoworks. And I kind of said, it needs to be the right time. It needs to be the right time. I want to be able to have a good story to tell. And I think the timing is right now to go out and start telling that story more broadly. I get a number of emails, a lot of them friendly, but some of them kind of going, what is going on? When are you going to put out a press release? Or when are you going to go start telling the story a little bit more? And I think that we've put a lot of the pieces together, and some of the near-term pieces that are going to fit into it are right around the corner. So it's time to start working with Sophic.
Mm-hmm. No, that's great. No, very happy to see it. I've always argued if you guys were a private company financed out of Silicon Valley, you'd probably be trading 10 to 20 times your current public market valuation. So I think anything that gets you the right kind of attention is going to be helpful. We're very short on time. I know you have to go here in a few minutes here. Why don't we, as investors, what are the metrics we should be watching for over the next little while to know that you guys are continuing to go on the right track?
Great question. I think, and taking the segue from Sophic Capital, adding to our client base will be really important. So I know a couple of years ago, we were reporting that a little bit more, the new customers that we're adding to our client base, and we'll probably start communicating that, a little bit more now. So that will be really important for us to communicate to the shareholders that we're adding to our customer base, more enterprise clients. That will be important. The licensing, I think maybe not right away, but going into 2022, I think you're going to start seeing the licensing increase. And the reason for that is that we're going to get more into the other thing that onboarding manufacturers gives us access to is 400,000 contractors in North America. And we are going to start monetizing getting contractors onto our platform. So if we need to give them a lead that we nurture on a manufacturer website and pass it off to the contractor, the contractor can accept that, but they need to have a subscription to our platform to accept that. So over the next year and a half, I would be looking to see licensing starting to increase. Design services still starting to increase. I think we are talking with some really major manufacturers that are starting to see the positive side of doing more around the design services. So that will always grow. And I can't remember how we differentiate this. I don't know that we differentiate it any more than just design services, but some of these ancillary things that we're starting to sell more of, like measurements, as an example, that revenue is going to start increasing as well. So those would be key metrics. I'm trying to think of any other key metrics. No, those are probably the most key.
Perfect. We're almost out of time here, so I'm going to give you a chance to just a parting message. Is there any key takeaway that you want our listeners today to sort of walk away with?
I think, main thing is that with the help of Sophic, is that we're going to, and the expertise that they bring. One of the things that we've been working on kind of with Sophic is helping them understand the story. So going out and communicating that message a little bit more, and not necessarily to arbitrarily grow the stock price. That's not our intention. We want the stock price to grow based on real results, on the financial results that we are bringing to bear. And I think you're going to keep seeing that. But telling the story more and helping people understand what we're trying to do. And you know, I think one of the things that excites me most about what I'm seeing right now versus the last update that you and I did is I'm really starting to see the dots connect with the underlying data that we're seeing. It's connecting to the other pieces of our business. So I think we're going to be able to tell and show that connection to our customers a lot more now, which I think will just allow us to sell more to our existing clients, which is really key, and onboard new clients.
Fantastic, Doug. It's certainly a pleasure to catch up with you today. I've been a long-term fan and long-term sort of shareholder, so happy to see that you guys are continuing to go in the right direction. If anybody wants more information, what's your website address?
Renoworks.com, or you can, I know some of you can get hold of me via email. Having one-on-one conversations is totally cool as well.
I'd also recommend anybody that wants to actually see the product in action. There's some neat videos and stuff on the website, so I suggest you take a look there. Doug, thanks again. Always great to catch up with you, and look forward to the next time we can catch up.
Okay, thanks, Paul and Trevor.
Thank
Talk
you.
soon.
Yep.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye.